Right, welcome everybody to today's webinar. My name is Joel Hall. I'm the owner and principal consultant of DesignFlow Labs. And today I've got with me Tim Schmidt from Tape. Tim, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself and introduce the team at Tape?
Certainly, yeah. I'll be very brief. So yeah, I'm Tim. I'm CTO and co-founder of Tape. Yeah, I'll be very short. Tape came to be because the whole team was basically enthusiastic about certain other tools that were around like various years ago. And we were really loving the way low-code and no-code tools allowed businesses to mold the software the way they wanted and the way they needed it to. Also including automation frameworks. And then that's how we came up with the idea to build something ourselves, because we saw a lot of potential there and we want to make it even bigger. So the combination of like a powerful moldable database, right? Configurable apps, an automation engine, and also using open standards. For example, we leverage HTML and JavaScript in our automations. That's why you basically have the source of infinite knowledge on the internet to enhance your system, to mold it, and to make it grow together with your business. And that works best with a partner and expert like we have here, like Joel. So
Perfect.
That's it from my side.
Awesome, thank you, Tim. Yeah, it's been really kind of interesting and fun working with Tape. And today we're going to talk about leveraging Tape, in the concept of HR, onboarding and service management. And the reason that we like leveraging Tape for that sort of things, Tim, to your point, is it really allows us to help our clients, bring their teams together in these connected digital workspaces, help them organize information that might have before been siloed off or maybe not that accessible. And like you said, leveraging the automation engine, really start to move a lot of that work, amongst people within a given team, in between different teams within the organization, and even with external folks, their clients and partners, people like that as well. So it's been really fun, as we've been working with clients, and helping them along their low code, no code journey, to leverage a tool like Tape, to help, in this example, teams like HR teams who may be living in, shared Outlook inboxes and spreadsheets, find a better way to work and stay on top of things and really, really provide a better service to everybody. So that's what we're going to demo here today. All right, so this slide is a little bit busy. I'll keep it brief, but I just wanted to give an overview as to what we're going to demo before I jump into the actual Tape interface here. So like I said, today's demo is going to cover a couple different aspects, of the HR functions. The first aspect is going to be a new employee coming on board. If you're part of an HR organization or part of a team who's responsible for orchestrating all of the activities that go into bringing a new employee on board, prior to their first date and including on their first date, there's a lot of different things that go into that. So, you'll see here what we've got are a few different apps, set up in the Tape workspace. And we're going to show you how we can start a new employee onboard from the submission of a form, and then track the onboarding activities associated for that employee through a playbook, of predefined, onboarding activities. So we'll walk through that. The second major piece of the demo is once the employee's on board and once the employee's active, being able to provide that employee, almost a self-service experience to where, they've got a single point where they can come do things like request time off, maybe ask a question or get some help with payroll or benefits, whatever the case may be. Again, we want to provide, both the employee, and the HR team a good way to interact and exchange, those give and take kind of interactions, with as much automation and orchestration as possible. So we'll show you how that happens today using Tape as well. So we'll jump over to the demo. I'm going to look over to this screen, kind of bounce back and forth as we go through and do this. Tim, anything to add before I do that?
No, go ahead. I'm ready.
Perfect. Okay, so the first thing I want to start with, is a little bit of a mock-up of a service catalog. Typically, a lot of times a service catalog for an organization probably isn't going to live in any one particular department or one particular workspace. A lot of times they'll have maybe a separate workspace set up, for more general, pieces of information like this, or maybe they'll have these links hosted on an intranet somewhere. But what we did for purposes of this demo using Tape is we actually created an app here in our workspace called Service Catalog. And you can see here what these are. These are just different, different things that people can go to from a request perspective and initiate. So a lot of times what you'll see in service catalogs, our employees need to go get help from IT. Maybe they need to get some help from legal. Maybe there's something they need finance to review. They may be making requests to these different teams. So what we like to typically do is provide them kind of a jump off point, in terms of this catalog for them to go do that. So what we're doing here is we've got a service catalog app set up. And today it's configured to let us do a couple of things like we talked about just a minute ago, which is start the employee onboarding process and make a request to the HR team. Just a couple of quick, overviews in terms of the apps that we've got. You'll see here as we go through the process, we've got our HR requests application. That is where all of those requests coming from different employees across the organization will come into one centralized application for the HR team to look at, to receive and triage and react to, as opposed to chasing these things through spreadsheets and shared Outlook inboxes, things of that nature. What we've also got is an employees app. This employees app is just a very basic app, a contact app, just to house some general employee information. But we'll also use that to generate, all of our employee onboarding actions. And those actions will live here in our employee actions app that you'll see as we, progress through the demo. Finally, what we've got is an actions playbook. And what I want to do is I actually want to start there. Because again, when we talk about, the HR team and their function of helping bring employees on board, a lot of times there's a predefined, set of checklist activities or tasks or, things that the employee might need to do, the employee's manager might need to do. Oftentimes, the technology or IT team is involved. So what we've done is we've provided this application called Actions Playbook, and it allows teams to kind of script these activities out. So the way that we've built this out is, very simple. These are very generic, activities that occur prior to an employee starting and maybe on the employee's first day of work. But what we've done is built this application out so that, as an employee goes through the process of coming on board, these actions are already pre-built. They're already accessible via the workflow automation. And you'll see how we call upon the items in this application here to go generate our employee actions. So this can be customized, obviously. Things can be added, changed, modified. We typically like doing that in an application, a playbook application like this, because it's much easier to make those changes and additions and removals as opposed to going into the workflow engine every time something needs to be added or changed. So we'll be leveraging these as we go through and bring an employee on board. So let's go ahead and start there. What I want to start with is the employee onboarding. So I'm going to actually open this up. And what we've done is we've leveraged Google Forms, just for purposes of this demo to be able to do this. So what I've got here is a Google form. This is integrated through a webhook to our Tape application via the workflow engine. And really, as the manager, of an employee coming on board, all I need to do to come in is just fill out the form with some basic information. So as the manager, I'm going to give them my email address. I'm going to give them the employee's name. I'm going to give them the employee's start date. And then I can choose what department the employee is going to be a part of. So let's say this person is going to be part of the marketing department. And I submit my form, and now we have that employee record created over in Tape with all of our predefined fields and the fields from the web form filled out as well. So when we come over to our Tape interface, we can now see that I've got a new employee record. I've got 3 other employees, that are pre-existing here, and we've got their information just loaded in. But I can go ahead and open this up. And like I said, we've got the information we captured from the form. We know the employee's name. We know they're part of the marketing department. And because we asked the employee's manager for their email address on the form, we were able to automatically know that, that email address belongs in this case to Richard Belding. Richard Belding is going to be the employee's manager, for their tenure at the organization. So the other things I can do once this has come in, as part of the onboarding process, I can designate, who we want to have, kind of take lead from an HR perspective, and then who will be responsible for helping with the onboarding activities from an IT perspective. So I can go ahead and add those folks as well. And you might have noticed there when I popped those up, there was only one name in each of those boxes. Tape really gives a lot of, granular control, over the application of the fields. So when I went to look for the HR lead, what it was doing is it was looking at our list of contacts here, and it was filtering down to only those folks, that are within the HR department and are active. So again, it gives us some good control as to how we control the information here within our applications, where we're all in and working. So the next step that we have set up is the employee's pre-start. Now, I'm not going to go through and force the workflows via the calendar trigger, but I will show you this real quick. What we have set up is we have an automation set up that looks at the employee's start date, and it knows that 10 days prior to the employee starting, we need to initiate the pre-start activity. So I'll go ahead and pop this workflow up real quick. And just kind of give you an idea. This is just a very basic workflow, within the Tape framework. Like Tim said, Tape is very, very powerful from a workflow automation perspective. This is probably one of the most basic workflows you'll see. But what we did, like I said, is we said 10 days before the employee's start date at 8 a.m. If the employee's current status is not started, we want to have that automatically move to pre-start. So rather than go ahead and update the dates and do that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to manually move them to pre-start. And what we're going to see happen is we're going to see our employee actions that are tied to that pre-start phase get populated in here from our actions playbook. So there is the first one, the second one, and we should have one more here. There we go. So I can see now that, again, based on me moving this employee to a status of pre-start, IT has been assigned 3 pre-start activities. We need to set up, their Office 365 and Active Directory credentials. We need to order and configure devices if we don't have them on hand. If we do, or if we, receive these devices that we've ordered, we need to make sure that those are shipped to the employee in the case that they're, working remotely or not near one of the offices. So what I can do is I can actually see those related actions here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to pop over to Employee Actions. And you'll see here, because we were pulling these actions from our playbook, we know that these actions are always assigned to the IT role. And we know based on the employee record that we selected AC Slater as the IT lead. So in this case, this made AC Slater the action owner for these 3 activities, populated a due date, and populated a status as well. Just a couple of other, quick notes while we're here. When you're looking at the Tape interface and we're looking at a series of records, we have the ability to filter these down and even change the look and feel of these views. So what I've done, this view just happens to be a table view that shows every employee action that's been created to date. But we can also filter this down. In this case, it's the same number of them. We can filter this down to show only those that are open. And we could change this to more of a Kanban board as well. So, as the team is looking every week or every day on status calls and saying, all right, what is it we need to do for the employees coming on board this week? They can quickly come to, a screen like this, see who's got what work to do, and make sure that they've got the help and time to get that work done. So what we're going to do is we're just going to move these over, and we're just going to say these are complete. And you'll notice that as I move these over to complete, they disappear. It's because I've got these filtered down. I only want to see those, whose status is not required or not complete. So let's come back to our employee. So again, there's another very similar workflow to our pre-start workflow date that's triggered, off of the start date. There's a second workflow that says on the morning of their first day, we want to move their status from pre-start to first day, which again triggers a whole host, of activities to happen on the first day. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll let this run for a second, and then we'll take a look at those. As we do that, Tim, anything to add or any comments from your side? Anything that I've not mentioned?
Maybe you could point out how you did the quick stats in the left sidebar, the split by feature by a status
Sure.
field, which is something quite powerful, I would say, especially in this context.
Yeah. Let's do that real quick while this is loading out. So what we've done, like I said, we've got a view here of all of our employee records. You can filter these down. In this case, we're not filtering this down at all. But what we can do is we can save this view. And what we did is we said we also wanted to split this view by department. So I can see and get a quick count of all of my employees by department. I can sort those. I can, put together a limit as to how many of those items we see. And in this case, we can change for the view, for splits. We can do something like this. So you really have some good granular controls to help you see, different types of information kind of separated out by different categories here. We could also, if we wanted to, make this, by employee status. We could see everybody by, active versus first day versus pre-start. Again, gives you the ability to filter down your information and save that filtered view over here in your views, either visible for you as a team or you as an individual to quickly navigate to the work that you need to focus on, day in and day out. Okay, so let's come back over and let's look, at our action. So we can see we've had more of these build out. So what I'll do is I'll go back over to employee actions real quick. And let's go back just to get a easier view of this. So now we see on the first day, there's a whole host of things that need to happen, but it's not just actions by the employee. Again, you as an HR team or organization will know all of the different checklists and steps, and procedures that need to take place. Like we said, a tool like Tape allows you to, really build those in as a template, to leverage in creating these actions, when they're needed. So in this case, the employee's got a lot to do. We'll come back to that. The manager, in this demo scenario, we said all they really need to do is meet with the employee on the first date, make sure they know, where they're going, what they're doing, all the things that go into hiring an employee for the first day. In this case, we assigned a couple things to the HR lead for this employee. They just need to be able to send benefits information and payroll information. And then really a lot of things are then up to the employee, things that employees typically do on their first day or even sometimes prior to their first day, getting their I-9 form, going through and filling out all of the, benefit forms, the payroll forms. Maybe you've got a company welcome video. We want them to go create their Tape profile so they can get in with their team and start doing their work. All of the things that, go along with starting. So these are all tied to the first day. Again, we can quickly mark those complete. I'll go ahead and just move this to the board view. And we will move these over to complete. There's quite a few of them. And again, you wouldn't be probably doing them this quickly. But again, Tape allows us, like I said earlier, to bring our teams together and connect them in these workspaces, in a way that allows teams like HR and IT to collaborate, on processes like employee onboarding, where otherwise they may be working in their own, specific tools, maybe in their own siloed environments, shooting things back and forth and providing status updates via email or Slack messages or Teams or whatever, whatever the case is that they might be using. So Good. So what we're going to do is we're just going to go ahead and update our employee to active. Let's not forget to give our employee an email address. Apologize, I can't type and talk at the same time. So our employee is on board. They've got an email address. Everything has been set up, and they are good to go. So now what we want to do is we want to talk about the scenario where, again, maybe an employee, now that they've come on board and they've been working in the organization, maybe they need to do something like request time off or make a request from the HR organization. So very similar to the setup before, what we would have is somewhere in the organization, we would have a service catalog that has links to these various request forms. But as an employee, what I'm going to come over and do is I'm going to say I want to create a new employee service request. So very similar to before, I have a Google form that pops up. I'm able to come over and provide my email address. I want to say this is a request for time off. I can say how many days I want to be off. And let's say I have some prior commitments to coming on board. And I'm going to be off from the 18th through the 22nd. So what I can do is I can go ahead and submit that form. And we now have our HR requests application. So like I said before, this application is really the intake engine for all of the various requests coming into the HR team from the employees. Now, what we've done in this case is a time off request usually isn't something that HR needs to look at and approve. That's usually something they need to be aware of, but it's something that's usually approved, or reviewed and approved or declined by the employee's manager. So what we've done in this case is we've recorded, obviously, the request coming in. So if we come take a look at the request, via the email address, just like before, we captured the employee record. Because we know the employee record, we know who the employee's manager is. So in this case, their case was assigned to Richard Belding. We can see the status request is set to new. We've got various options there. We can see that it was a request for time off. And we've got our days that we were requested and the dates as well. What we've also got down here is this request section. What we did is we used a calculation field in the tape application to kind of build out, this little HTML-based, section header here that allows us to separate, some of this information within the record itself. So we've recorded our request. Now, what we also did as that request came in is we also sent an email off to the employee to let them know that their request was received and it's going to be reviewed. So again, when you're working with employees and you're part of, say, an HR team, having that status and communication up to date is really important. So we found, in this demo, in this use case, leveraging email to do that was really helpful. So again, leveraging Tape's, automation engine, we're able to come in and craft, a templated email that upon submission of a form, if it's a request for time off, we're sending a confirmation email back to the employee. So the employee knows that their request was sent and received. Let's go ahead and there we go. What we've also done is we've also sent at the same time an email to the employee's manager. So a lot of times when you're dealing with approvals, things like that, folks get the notification via email to know that came in. This manager could go into something like Tape, find the record and make the update. We could have put a link to the Tape item here. There's a lot of different options. Tape is very flexible in terms of how you can handle, those interactions, with the platform via internal and external. What we did here is we actually used the Tape platform, the automation engine, to create these approve and decline buttons. So right from here, what the employee's manager can do is they can see, okay, my employee requested these days off. It's for 5 days. I can come in and just mark that approved. They get a message here just letting them know that was sent back for approval. And if we come look at our record here, you probably just saw that it moved from new to completed. We see that here, and we can see the time off was also approved. And to round things out, what the employee will receive is just an email letting them know that their request was approved and that they are good to go. So again, that was a scenario in which, didn't involve the HR team actually touching it. We did create a record, within the HR request applications for them to report on and know about, and maybe review as part of, quarterly, metrics and things like that later. But some of these other requests come in, maybe it is something that the HR team needs to pick up. And again, with all of your HR team working within this application, within this workspace, they're able to collaborate on these things, help each other get these, requests taken care of, help employees find answers to what they need much quicker, as opposed to, again, doing things maybe in shared inboxes, tracking some of these, activities in spreadsheets or, different task systems here and there. So again, this was meant to be more of just a general overview of what's possible with tape. But hopefully we gave a pretty good idea as to some of the capabilities, that you could leverage within the tape platform to help your HR team really supercharge, the way that they work together, within their team and the way that they work together with your employees. So that concludes that portion of the demo. Tim, I don't know if there's anything you want to add or anything you might want, might want to poke into and have me show the team.
Two things, Joel. So first of all, thank you. I really love the use case, and it's quite practical. It seems like it's coming from practical problems that this is solving, and it's not like a theoretical template, but it's actually solving problems. So I love this. And two things. First of all, I want to highlight how nicely Joel has kind of white labeled the email and also the link. Maybe you noticed that there was this DesignFlow Lab logo on the bottom. Right. Of course, this would be possible to white label this for your own company if you were using the template. An expert like Joel can easily apply your own CI to the email and also to the web link where the employee clicks for the where the manager clicks the approve or deny button. So this the external touch points become very like CI oriented or very oriented to your company's branding and your company's style. This is one thing. And one little feature, Joel, that I want to highlight, could you open the HR request
Sure.
record again? Because this is something that many people really celebrating when using tape, especially partners. If you see that little bold there for the activities on the right side in the activity stream, there's a little bold. If you click that, it's clickable. Many people don't know. Can you try, Joel?
What was it?
Next to the automation.
Oh,
next to the this one. Yeah, if you click it, it will actually open the workflow that made the change. And this is very good for debugging, right? Because sometimes you don't know why was this change made, which workflow triggered it. And this little bold in there helps you jump into the workflow that made the change right away. Sorry to interrupt. Thank you.
No, that's a very good point. Yeah, and as someone who's helped a number of companies kind of build these automations in various systems, a lot of times when you're taking these processes and building them into an automation platform, being able to know which automations are tied to other automations, which automations are taking actions where, a lot of times, without really good documentation and understanding, it can get to be a little bit confusing. So it is really, really helpful to be able to see that, right here from the activity section. Tim, one other thing or a couple of other things I'll mention here that I think kind of get overlooked, as we're working with solutions like Tape. Tape is first and foremost a collaboration platform. So, you've got the ability, similar to other platforms, but really, really done well in this platform to come in, and talk with amongst, the various team members, mentioned team members, bring that communication about, a record or about a project or whatever it is you may be working on. Bring that discussion out of email and into the context of the work that you're doing. So being able to add comments, share notes, even do things like, simple reminders here. Maybe there's something I need to remember to go do for this record. All of that is very, very helpful. And there's a lot of those, little productivity pieces built into the platform here that, really help, keep people focused on what it is they need to be working on day in and day out.
Yeah, couldn't agree more, Joel. And one thing to add, what you just mentioned, it will help you also document, right? Because the conversation will be where the data is. And usually everyone knows it, right? You never find that email again where somebody said something about that particular HR request. But here it would be right where the request is. So it's actually really nice for documentation, for finding things afterwards, and for streamlining and systemizing things.
Perfect. Well, good. Yeah, I don't see, or maybe there's a couple of questions we can get back to, offline here, but just to kind of go back here, again, if this is something that, your team is looking into, or maybe, you've got an HR team that's kind of struggling, like I said, with, spreadsheets or, Google Docs and different sheets, trying to organize all of their work. Maybe it's another department, that you're trying to help, bring together, and organize information and create some automation and create some more efficiency. Tim and I would certainly be happy to talk and to help. You can find us online, just by scanning the codes here above. You can follow the TAPE team on LinkedIn. One thing I've said before, and I'll say again, Tim and team do a great job communicating, the roadmap, the updates, the things that are happening and coming. Also very responsive, to user feedback, not even partners, but just everyday users like myself, with different ideas and different questions. It's very helpful to follow them, online. You can follow them on YouTube as well. I know Tim and team have a lot of really cool videos up there, different use cases, for the TAPE platform. And you can follow the DesignFlow team as well. If you're interested in signing up and trying TAPE, we've got a link for that as well. And if there's something that maybe you're curious about, or you're wondering if TAPE could help you do, Tim and I would certainly be happy to help, schedule a demo, just to bring you through some of the more finer details, of the TAPE platform and get your questions answered. So you could schedule that demo as well. So hopefully everybody finds this helpful and informative. Tim, I want to thank you for joining and being here in support of the TAPE team. And with that, we'll wrap up, and we will talk with everybody on the next webinar.
Thank you, Joel.
Thank you.
It was fun.